Hello everyone, my name is Julian and this is IVGTC Round 2. We are here at beautiful sunny Hungarian in the heart of Hungary, Eastern Europe, Central Europe, somewhere around there. Depending on who you ask, it's a different answer. Anyways, we are back to racing. We are currently in the practice session and actually take a look what the times currently say. We have in the lead of the practice session Mark Kane for Yandere Racing, going a bit off track here right now, followed by Ruby Acosta, who actually won the last race, which was the first race of the season. And then Merkur VR is currently on P3, followed by Albert Jörgi and Leica Sayers, who is running the #1 this season, because of course Leica Sayers, as we all know, was the winner of last season's IVGTC championship. Then we have How You, I hope I pronounced that correctly, or at least somewhat correctly, one of our UMA drivers for Yuma Motorsport. And Natalie Lee for Wild Things Racing. Midnight Hurricane, another of our Chinese Yuma Motorsport racers. There we go. We've got Reska Kyoso in P9 currently, and Akito Azusagawa rounding up the top 10. The live timing, unfortunately we do not have a live timing set up right at this moment. If there's interest for that, be sure to let us know in the Discord server. There is a channel called Suggestions and Feedback there. Good server. You're not on the Discord server yet. The link is now in the chat. And now the practice session is over. There are a few more people out trying to get a bit of a better feel for the track, getting a bit of a better feel for the temperatures that we're having. It seems to be a pretty nice day out in Hungary with a 21-degree optimum track. Beautiful, no wind, so there's no excuses for any of the drivers. How are you currently? Still a bit up on their time. Let's see if they want to improve. I love seeing, by the way, as you can see, there are a bunch of Hondas in there. Off-meta pick, but lovely to see. It's a beautiful car. Unfortunately, not in production anymore. It stopped in 2022, I believe. 2022, the last Acura or Honda and NSX were produced. How are you now coming across the finish line into P4 for the practice session? There's a few more people out on track. Blanc Ryuzaki coming into the pits here. Gary Slater coming across the finish line. This should be our last racer. Right. So, we are now in the qualifying session. And we see the first people exiting. Well, it was a Mercedes. That was Natalie Lee getting it out in first here for the qualifying. Surely they don't want anyone to interfere in their lap. And we have a large grid today. We have 34 drivers on the track right now, or on the pits around the track, which is a new record setting for the IVGTC, the International VTuber GT Championship, which this season runs under the, as well as same as last season, yes, it runs under the Wingman layout, dare say, where we have teams that are made up of one VTuber and one sim racer. That is of course optional. Every VTuber is welcome here. If sim racers want to join, they must find a VTuber teammate. We have a few solo VTubers still racing, so maybe if anyone wants to come in, you can go on our Discord and ask if there are people. Yes, it is possible to enter the next race. You just need to ask on the Discord. And we are going to go in the passenger cam with Natalie Lee right now. A lap around Hungaroring. Let's start on the start, finish straight. Coming up into T1 right here, braking about the sign at the left. Do not go too far off track here on the exit of T1, otherwise you might be burning your hot lap. Now into T2, going a bit downhill in this left-hander, going a bit wide there, Natalie Lee, unfortunate. Just making a banker lap now, I would say, through T3 and into T4, which is a rather harsh corner to take. It is very easy to get the car unsettled here and go off the track into T5, a very large radius corner. And now we come into the chicane 6-7, a beautiful corner compound with a bit of high curbage, sausage curbs. We go into 8, 9 and 10, and there's a Porsche in the way. Porsche getting out of the way for Natalie Lee. That is very fortunate. Someone paid attention during the blue flag rules. I dare say. Going into turn 12 now. Coming up towards the last few corners, which are a bunch of switchbacks. Turn 13. Here, 180 degree corner, U-turn basically, and turn 14, the last corner of the track. And that is a 46.210, immediately bested by Reska Kyoso, who actually was the first one out. Oh, well, that was, yeah. Mistakenly, by me, Reska Kyoso putting the first hot lap down with a 1:45.250, which is a good time. And Mark came right now, immediately besting that with a 45.035. The Aston Martin driver really showing that they have the pace around Hungaroring. There's the question in the chat, can two VTubers be in the same team? According to our current rule sets, no. Each team consists of one VTuber plus one sim racer. However, if you come to our Discord channel, we can talk about that. Ruby Acosta, in the meanwhile, has put the teammate actually of Reska Kyoso, has put in the P3 time. So the Who Wants a Soda X Queen's Design racing team currently making up 2 spots on the top 3. And Natalie Lee right now trying to improve on the time really heavily. So half a second currently up into the last few corners. We have one more corner to go, losing a bit of time on the exit of turn 15, 15, 14, 15. The second to last corner, but here losing a bit on the last corner as well. Unfortunate, but is still going to improve. Not quite. Okay, it seems like Natalie Lee hasn't improved. We have Merkur VR, who is currently in P5, and Merkur doing well. We have seen them doing very well in the past few seasons. They have been gotten really accustomed to the ACC environment. Of course, Merkur being here since the days of racing on Raceroom. They are bested, however, by Albert George, who is racing for VM Interplanetary. The racer with the Honda is our home favorite, we can say that, because he is a Hungarian and trying his best to get most out of the Honda today. Oh, and there's a new lead with Le Casellas, our reigning champion of the IVGTC as sim racer, improving into a 44.785. If there's anyone improving, we have Akito Asasagawa a bit down on the ranks currently. Getting a bit unsettled here with the Lexus. That is unfortunate. However, they're still making up on their time. Currently, they're 3.8 seconds behind the lead. That is not something that Asasagawa would want to see. However, they currently made up over 2 seconds just in this one corner here. Well, there must have been a problem in the banker lap. Coming into the second to last corner right now, 2.8 seconds up on their time. It looks like they're going to improve within the 1 second range of the lead. That is a good point to be at for Koneko Racing, who obviously wants to take a few points home for the team championship. However, it is enough for P7.8 seconds behind the lead. Albert Schurz in the meanwhile. Wow, in second position now, and Mark came into first position. It hasn't been long until I could bring that one. A 44.587, holy moly, the pace is really heating up here. A bit further down we have Wai Hao Yu, who is currently improving on that time quite significantly. Up by over half a second. This could bring them into P10 or maybe even 9, depending on what they do this last corner. Oh, this could go even into P8 in front of Victor Masato, the VM Interplanetary driver. And so it does. By how you manages to make it into P8 for now. Ruby Acosta, however, coming strong here onto the last few corners. 8/10 in their pocket. If they manage to hold this through the last corner, this could be a provisional pole position for the Mexican sim racer VTuber, and it is so far a 44.472. Well done by Ruby Acosta. Reska Kyoso is challenging, however. Currently over 3/10 up on their time. There's still a half of the lap left to go, so there's still a lot of opportunity to make up on that time. Oh, but going off track, getting a bit unsettled, or just stopping the lap altogether. Let's take a look further down the standings. We currently have Jin Rand here, who is 9 seconds currently behind, but is improving by almost 5 seconds right now as it looks. This could bring them up a few positions in the BMW M4. Let's see where they come across the track. Into P22 they go. We have a fan of number 34, it seems. That is Moritz Reininger, one of our Swiss drivers, racing for Curenza X Hikari Racing. That is not a very Swiss name, but it is a Swiss team, I am told. And Moritz Reininger is currently a bit down on the lap time, so let's take a look at someone else. We have Merkur VR currently up by over 3/10, saving a bit of time through the last corner here. What can they do? Can they catapult themselves into P6? Not quite, it is P7, but it is an improved time for Merco VR. Le Casellas up ahead is currently starting a new lap, and there's a bunch of time in T1 for them to make up, it seems. They made up a bunch of time there on the exit, lost a bit. Maybe it's just a different line they've taken. However, right now there is... Now they're losing a bit of time, unfortunately, for them. Let's see. Half of the qualifying session is already over. Things have settled down for now a bit. We have Merco VR, who is still chasing that better lap. Currently on a 45.400. Losing a bit of time through the chicane. Through turns 6 and 7. Getting a bit of time through 8 and 9, however. They are currently 4 tenths up on their time. 5 tenths up on their time. This could improve them very heavily if they take it well through the last few corners. The 90-degree right-hander, that looks safe. That looks well done. That doesn't look raw at all. And we come to the last corner. Oh, this is a great improvement. How will they take the last corner? Exit. Beautiful. Beautiful by Merco VR, challenging for top position. P3 it is currently for the Audi driver from Merc Audi. It is not long, however, for the next person to challenge. Reska Kioso is coming, and they are coming quick. Had a bit of 310 saved. However, they're currently in the beginning of the lap. Let us take a look where everyone else is on track currently. Everyone seems to be at the beginning of the lap and quite heavily improving on their times. Reska Kioso lost a bit of time now behind the BMW of, I believe that is Jin Rand. Will the Chinese driver get out of the way? They are blue flagged. Reska Kioso are losing a bit of time. Jin Rand getting out of the way, however. What can Reska Kioso do? Can they salvage this lap? They are currently about on pace with their current best. Who wants a soda? X. Queen's Design Racing. Had to think about it for a moment. That is a long name for your team. However, it is a collaboration between two teams, I was told. So let's take a look. Was that invalidated? That was not invalidated. However, it was not the best for saving time. A bit further behind, we have Merco VR currently saving up 4 tenths on their best time. What is that? That looks to be smashing the current record set by Ruby Acosta. What can Merco VR do through the last corner? Taking a tidy line there, a bit wide. Maybe they could have taken that a bit closer to the edge. Oh, a bit slidey there. However, they improve into P1. Merco VR goes. Holy macaroni. And where do we have Mark Kane? That is currently at the top of the hill. Coming into the chicane. There's a slow Lamborghini in front. Unfortunately, Mark Kane doesn't seem to be able to improve their lap this time around. How you, however, seems to be improving a bit. Could they challenge Lee for P8? Not quite. However, there's another racer looking to regain their provisional pole position. That is Ruby Acosta. Queen's Design Racing currently 3 tenths up on their own best time. We are scratching into the 43s if this continues like it is. However, there's an Audi right in front, which dives out of the way into T8. Ruby Acosta losing minuscule amounts of time there. However, it could still be enough for that provisional P1. Now, Ruby Acosta scratches that time, parks the car next to the road. Let's look a bit further down. We have AG Radium currently driving the Porsche. That is a new car for this season. I believe HE Radium drove an NSX last season. Might be, might not be. HE Radium currently in 25th position. Could improve themselves into the top 20 if they continue like they currently are. Losing a bit of time there through the chicane, taking it a bit untidy. The lap is still valid, however. Looks to be valid. Is it? No, it is not valid, unfortunately. Bit further up ahead, we have Raceroom. Again trying to improve their time. Again 2.5 seconds up on their time. Arcane as well. Over a 10th up on their time. That is looking to challenge for top spot as well. We have a tight challenge between the top 7 drivers here. All within 0.7 of a second. And it seems to get closer with Raceroom improving their time. And Marcane now. They are trying to protect a minuscule amount of time into the finish line. What can they do through the last 2 corners? Yes, Martin, P4, number 4 for Yandere Racing. Very sleek design. I like the color scheme of the livery. Marcane, they can improve their time, maybe by a minuscule amount, however, not enough to make up a position. Albert Gersh for VM Interplanetary is looking to improve on their time by 2 seconds. Could you imagine if they drove 2 seconds quicker than their time right now? That would be an esports. That would be esports. That would be alien levels of racing. No, 2/10 is what I wanted to say. Which could also bring them up into the top 4 currently battling it out very closely amongst each other. There is still 2 minutes left in the qualifying session, so that's enough for closely over 1 flying lap. Albert Gersh, I believe, will not come over the finish line in time. No, definitely not. So they will have time for 1 more lap after that. For now, however, let's take a look how they take the last corner. Albert Gersh coming across the finish line. Improving on the time by a few hundredths, however, not enough to make up a position. Everyone on the track currently seems to be, well, within their current position. Nobody seems to be majorly improving. We have Moritz Reininger, McLaren driver, currently coming across for the last lap of the qualification. We have ISA ABR taking a bit of slipstream, but overshooting turn 1, and that is their qualifying session done. They will qualify in P12 or below, depending on whether someone can improve. Raceroom coming across for the last lap. We have Victor Massato here coming into the full sand corner, basically, with a bit of time up in their hands. They could improve. Top 10 is definitely within reach, within improvement. Taking a bit of a straight line through the chicane there. That seemed a bit, well, not too healthy for the underbody of the NSX. VM Interplanetary teammate of Albert Gersh. Maybe they trained a bit together. Maybe they had a bit of a training session. Albert Gersh, of course, the home hero right now. Maybe able to give a bit of lines, bit of tips to his teammate. Assetto currently looking to improve a bit. Could be enough to improve into P10. Let's see how they take the last corner. Not the best entry, but a good exit. They're going to improve, but just barely not into P10. Reska Kyoso still trying to make up a bit of time here on the last flying lap. What can they do in the last corner? Taking it tidy, taking it a bit aggressive on the exit, and just not enough to catapult themselves ahead of their VTuber compatriot Assetto. We have a few more people on the track. We have Ruby Acosta trying to improve on their time. However, it doesn't seem to be working out right now. 3/10 down. Still a great lap time. However, not enough to improve themselves into a higher position. With Reininger, who already finished, and then we have Night Fury, who seems to also have finished. Okay, now we have a 1-hour race coming up. But before that, I would like to take you through the grid. Let's start right at the front. F. What was the button? There we go. We have the lead with Mirko VR, followed by Ruby Acosta, Le Casellas, Mark Kame, Albert Gersh, Akito Asasagawa, Reska Kyoso. You, Lee, sorry, you guys are new. I don't know the names too well. Hurricane, Masato, Reininger, ABR, Pillow, Slater, and we have so many people racing today. I don't know the names of everyone. Ryuzaki, Cham, Dam, goddammit, Chulo, something like that. I'm sorry, I'm butchering everything right now. We have Jordan Brunch, we have Tars the 14th. Wait. Tars the 14th here, Jordan Brunch, Tars the 14th, okay. Woo. Night Fury, Alexander Arthur, Mashiro, Pristupa, KP, Rand, Radium, Dubrovka. Like the livery. Sensoi, JHK, Hawken, Trazione Integrale, Mentrix.
10 seconds.
And I'm sorry, but I have to roll down a bit. Blue Eyes and Ryuma Tateyama. I like green liveries. That is a green livery. Another green livery that I saw that stood out to me. It is and we're going, it seems. But the Grip Runners livery there by Adrian Dubrovka. Beautiful. They've got a bunch of talented livery artists making their way downtown, driving fast, being homebound. Well, not quite homebound. We're racing in Hungary, which is the home for one of our races at least. We have 34 racers on the grid today. 34 races. That is a new record for the IVGTC. And we are starting the 1-hour race. There we go. Now the overlay also says the correct thing. What can the leads do? We have Mirko VR in the lead. Directly followed by Ruby Acosta and Le Casellas and Mark Kame. Those all look rather racy today. And then there's the underdog Albert Gersh, who is usually not challenging for the top spot, but trying to do their best today in this home race. A bunch of newcomers with Chinese drivers for UMA Motorsport coming in. I still have to talk to them how to actually pronounce the team name. Is it UMA or is it Yuma or whatever? You'll hear me say a mix of those presumably during the entire broadcast. But for now, we are preparing to get on to first lap of the race. Coming through the last few corners right here, coming into the last 2 hairpins. The grid will get into double file soon. Like they are now. The back has to catch up a bit. Notoriously on ACC, with large grids, Hungaroring is a difficult track for the back drivers to catch up into the double file. Let's hope there will not be too many drive-through penalties, or none at all rather, for drivers being outside of their starting position. Ekasea seeming rather racy, closing up the gap to Mirko. We are already now into the last corner before the start-finish line. Ekasea really seems to be wanting to improve, to defend their position as champion. And we come across the start line. We are green. Mark came losing a bit of positions there. Losing a bit of position. The NSX of Albert George on the inside. And we're going 4 wide in the back there. What is going on? There is VM Interplanetary is off track. And there is a bit of carnage there with Jordan Brunch caught up in the middle, I see. Yellow flag for Jordan Brunch and Mashiro. And the Porsche of Blue Eyes. That is very unfortunate. Up in the front, we have a major battle here, it seems. Oh my god, that is some send there by the NSX of who was that? That was one of our new drivers. Was it Hurricane? It might have been Hurricane. Yes, going for a major send into the full send corner. So what is going on? We have a bit of a backing up here already behind Natalie Lee. Lee seeming to lose the driver in front a little bit. Victor Masato wanting to get past as soon as possible in order to make up that time, and it seems like Yu is taking on Kyozo, but Kyozo now having the inside line for the next corner can defend the position. How you are trying to go for the inside line, getting a bit unsettled but saving the car. Beautiful power slide situation there, although it surely wasn't meant to be. We have Mark Kame following Albert George. George losing a bit of pace, and Albert Kame coming out of the slipstream in order to take P4 back from the starting grid. They have some catching up to do now. They are almost 2 seconds behind the top 3 already. Like Albert Church had a bit of trouble, and there's a bit of coming together between Poofy Pillow, and that was what was that? Gary, that was Night Fury. That was Felix Night Fury. Had a bit of coming together with Poofy Pillow there. That's going to be looked at by the stewards after the race. A bit further behind, we have Black Ryuzaki battling it out with Chamchulo. That's the name. Chamchulo. I'm very sorry. But you have only the point there. A C and the point there and on the side. Trying to get a bit of a switchback here. This battling has led KP to come in. But there's a crash between Victor Masato and ABR, it seems. Let us take a look at the replay. What happened there with Victor Masato and ABR? ABR getting a bit unsettled and crashing into Masato, and that is major damage to the front of the car for Masato. Very unfortunate for the VM Interplanetary driver. Having to crawl to the pits now, and the pits are not open yet. Pits are not open yet. They are opening in a minute for the mandatory pitting. Masato, do they pit now? They have to. It looks like they have to, and they are going to. Oh, they're not getting to get their mandatory pit stop done, it looks like. Adrian Dubrovka getting the position on merit from Assetto in that case. The Rip Runners livery. Mentrix currently fighting against AG Radium. Can they do anything out of the slipstream? Not taking the slipstream, taking the clean air rather. Oh, overbraking into the corner. Into T1. Managing to make it stick. What is that for an overtake? Mentrix, well done. Nice overtake there. AG Radium is also in the pits now. We have a few people already pitting before the mandatory pit window opens. There we go. Oh. We have Moritz Reininger currently battling it out with KP in front of them. The two McLarens trying to...
The pit is now open.
And there's the pit window opening. Unfortunately, everyone who is already in the pits now doesn't get their mandatory pit stop cleared. Everyone who enters the pit starting from now gets their one mandatory pit stop cleared. Very unfortunate for the few souls, for the 4 drivers. That is Masato, Radium, Brunch, and Champ Chulo, who will not get their mandatory pit stop cleared. Damien Pristupa here, following the fellow Porsche driver of Blue Eyes. Can the Cross Alias shirt driver do anything? Getting a better run there, but not quite. Oh, touching! And that sends Blue Eyes wide. Further up ahead, we have a 4-way battle for P1. Lecaseas currently making a bit of grounds up to Mercovia. However, Markame and Ruby Acosta are still hot on their heels. We have a yellow flag for Night Fury. Let's see what happened there in the replay. Seems to be happening all on their own. Oh yeah, getting a bit unsettled over the curbage there. Night Fury unfortunately taking the hit. Now directly behind Natalie Lee. Trying to battle for position. However, Reska Kyoso is attacking Akito Asasagawa, who wants a soda against Oneko Racing. This is not the position Reska Kyoso wanted to be in. They are, of course, after last race, dominating the team standings right now. And for Reska Kyoso to only be in P7, that must be not enough in the minds of Kyoso. What can they do? Oh, you hot on their heels, almost outbreaking themselves into the back of Kyoso. You having to take a bit of evasive action there. And it seems like this is some close racing. Reska Kyoso surely wants to overtake, surely wants to get the position from Akito Asasagawa P6 in order to try and catch up to Albert Jersch, the hometown hero boy, currently in P5. Looking to be the best Honda on the grid. Reska Kyoso, by far not the best BMW. Lecasea is currently leading and getting away a bit from Merco VR, it seems. But behind them, there's Merco VR, there's Mark Kame, and there's Ruby Acosta battling it out for P2 right now. Ruby Acosta also wanting to continue their winning streak. Of course, Ruby Acosta won last time around. Won the race last time. 2 weeks ago that was. And now only in P4, not even on the podium ranks. Reska Kyoso very close on the heels of Akito Asagawa, who gets a bit unsettled there. You're also having to take a bit of evasive action, trying to go for a switchback maybe here. Trying to get a better exit onto the start-finish straight, the longest straight on this circuit. Oh, but very defensive driving here by Akito Sasagawa, going even onto the well, sort of gravel, right? Pebbles on the road. Oh, and there's a bit of coming together, crossing the racing lines of the two. The defensive line crosses the aggressive line. And it seems like Reska Kyoso definitely wants to get past. Desperately, though. Let me have a little sip of my tea right now. As Reska Kyoso is still battling and is getting attacked from behind. They have to watch out. The NSX behind them is looking very racy today. It seems to have there has been a bit of an issue. Mark Kane currently getting a bit behind. Getting a bit... Yeah, having overtaken Mirko for P2. Getting a bit behind now. It seems like that was an overtake that wasn't very good for the overall time. Which tea am I drinking? I am drinking some German tea brand. It's rosehip tea. Oh, and it seems like Ruby Acosta is rather racy. Trying to get on the podium as soon as possible. However, so far, not enough possibility to overtake. Hurricane is trying to get past their teammate now. You having lost a bit of ground to Reska Kyoso. But the two Yuma teammates will definitely not be looking to very aggressively overtake each other. Maybe there will be some team orders. They may be in a voice chat together. Who knows? Natalie Lee is looking to catch up to Gary Slater in the meanwhile. Getting a bit of the slipstream into T1. Doesn't seem to be enough for the minutes. With a yellow flag for ICER ABR. Let's take a look at the replay. What happened there? Just getting it unsettled out of turn 1. I think 4. I think turn 4. 1, 2, or 3. One of those. I'm not too familiar with Hungaroring, unfortunately. However, here's Adrian Dubrovka, who seems to be looking to get into the top 19 ahead of Shike Hawken. Losing a bit of ground here out of T2, however. Closer battle is up ahead with Reska Kyoso still on the back of Akito Sasagawa. Mirko VR in the meanwhile, having lost positions, having lost ground right in front of them. And it seems like they might have a bit of a damage, maybe, or a bit of trouble at least, as they let Akito Asagawa pass, and it seems like Reska Kyoso can also make the overtake stick. Oh, not quite. Oh, but there's you attacking on the inside of Reska Kyoso. Ah, great awareness by Kyoso there, managing to see that you is on the inside. However, Kyoso now on the inside for the next corner, managing to defend the position, but very close to Mirko VR. And we have the first of our regular pit stoppers. Felix Knife Fury 34 is in the pits now. And we have Hurricane taking the outside line there very aggressively. Going for the inside through this long corner. However, there's a bit of talking between the two, it seems, with the hazard lights being turned on right now. Ryuzaki wants to attack Mentrix going a bit for the outside line, maybe for the switchback right now, but they are on the would be on the outside for the next corner. It seems like they are on the outside, maybe trying to go for another bit of a switchback or taking the outside line. That is not gonna stick right now. Mentrix is able to defend the position for now. But Ryuzaki is not done, going for the outside line through this very hairy corner and managing to make it stick. What is that overtake? Very well done by Blanc. I think it's Blanc Ryuzaki. I have to ask a lot of people how to pronounce their names today after the race. Oh, that'll be fun. Now that we are 15 minutes into the race, let us take a look. Let us take a look ahead at Albert Jersch, who is attacking or defending against Ruby Acosta. Defending against Ruby Acosta team. And there's a massive yellow flag between the UMA drivers. What happened there? Let's take a look. Hurricane. Oh, there's a bit of a wonky line there by you. Hurricane getting unsettled and taking out their teammate. Ah, that is very unfortunate for the Yuma drivers. That's not how they wanted to start this season. Of course, they are racing for the first time this time around with IVGTC. Moritz Reininger right up ahead of Hurricane now. Still trying to get past Gary Slater. Moritz Reininger, the teammate of Night Fury, who has already done their mandatory pit stop, has to defend now from Hurricane, who is definitely looking to make up some positions after that, dare I say, horrible blunder that happened out of turn 1, 2, I guess. Moritz Reininger now going for the inside line. Oh, managing to make it stick very nicely. Very well done. Clean overtake by Moritz Reininger here. And Gary Slater is now the one who has to defend from Midnight Hurricane. Before that, however, we have Reska Kyoso right behind Mirko VR. It seems like Akito Asasagawa has gotten a bit away from this pair. Asasagawa being 5 seconds ahead of Mirko VR at the moment. A bit of gaps building up around here. Reska Kyoso doesn't want anything to do with it. Going for the outside line here, maybe for the switchback. Or really for the outside line, yes. Oh, and the switchback at the last second into the chicane. Will the overtake work? Holy macaroni, that is a move as only I have seen it before in F1 Manager 2022. And that is a statement. Reska Kyoso now directly on the back of a back marker, getting out of the way. The Lamborghini of that was Ryuma Tateyama getting out of the way here. We have a few people who have the mandatory pit stops already cleared. We have Night Fury. We have Ekim Ali Boran Shensoi, who is currently fighting with Victor Masato, actually. Masato, after having had that horrible incident in the beginning of the race. And and ABR already has Icer ABR, Icer Ambra. Ambra. I think it's Ambra. Already has the mandatory pit stop done. Mentrix attacking Ryuzaki and getting the move done. Tulsa 14th looking to do the exactly same thing. Not able to do that through the chicane, however. Ryuzaki now has one person ahead to fight. And it seems like they're going for it, but there's a coming together. Oh, the stewards are not going to like this, and the stewards are not going to like that as well. There's a massive pile up there. 3 cars involved in the crash. with Ryuzaki. Please get out of the road for now. Do not cross the racing line. Ryuzaki, rejoin at a safe manner. Oh, that is very unfortunate, this coming together. What is even more unfortunate is that I'm gonna have to look at that after the race. Ryuzaki resetting to pits, unfortunate. Seems like they couldn't get their car going again. In the meanwhile, we have Mark Kame, who has taken over the lead of the race from Le Casillas. Mark Kame, who has been so strong in this race, starting in the practice session. The Yandere racing driver. Trying to get their first win ever with IVGTC, I reckon. Albert Gersh in the meanwhile, battling with Ruby Acosta for P3. Gersh managing to make the overtake stick for now. "20 minutes of the race are done. A whole third of the race is over yet. We have Mirko VR, one of the first front runners, actually the first of the front runners to go for the mandatory pit stop, as well as Agent Dubrovka is currently in the pits, as well as Kagura Mashiro. And Blanc Ryuzaki, still having reset before from that massive pile-up crash. Now, Ruby Acosta is not letting go. They want to have that podium position back. But I can tell you for sure, Albert Gersh is not going to give up. Never. Because this is Albert's home track. This is not going to be a lightly earned position for Ruby Acosta, even though they seem to relatively simply take the win last time around. Oh, as Ruby Acosta dives into the pits, maybe seeing an open spot for the behind after the pit time, breaking down, lovely, entering the pits right behind Jordan Brunch there, who comes in for the second pit stop of the day. Master 14th is currently trying to catch up. And we have Alexander Arthur with a drive-through penalty. What happened there? Was that maybe track limits? It's either be track limits or speeding in the pit lane. But since they did not do their mandatory pit stop yet, I think it would be track limits. Very unfortunate for the TDU Soda Club racer. Master 14th in the meanwhile. Still trying to get the position from iMentrix for P18. Speed Daddy Tune Shop is racing against Vitality Racing Team. And there's some front runners coming through. Back Marcus getting out of the way. That is actually Mark Kame and Le Casillas, our current P1 and 2, trying to negotiate all of those back markers as efficiently as possible. None of the two seems to enter the pits for now, saving their mandatory pit stop for a bit later. Ruby Acosta, after managing to pit, is now battling with Rand. Going to go on the outside line there. Looking a bit iffy, but getting it done through the turn 9. 6, 5. Because this is 6 and 7. This is 7 and 8. Holy moly, I don't have my track map in front of me. Blue ice in the meanwhile. Oh, and there's a stop-go 30 penalty for Mashiro. Seems to have maybe gone a bit too quick into the pits. Oh, and there's a holy battle going on here between Tals the 14th and Imentrix VT. Tals the 14th surely wanting to take the position. A bit further back we have Ekim Ali Boran Shensoi battling with HE Radium. Oh! Almost crashing into the back of Adrian Dubrovka there. Actually, Shensoi battling with Dubrovka for position. Timing table hasn't updated yet, and I was blind. Now Ruby Acosta trying to get past KP on the outside. Oh, and that is Acosta taken out. That is Acosta taken out. Not taken out of the race, but this makes challenging for a good position rather challenging. Makes challenging for a position challenging. Wow. And we have Le Casillas pitting. But wow. What was that? That's going to have to be looked at by the stewards after the race is over. Very unfortunate for Ruby Acosta there. Let's just hope that they don't have too much damage, otherwise they would have to go over half the distance still with damage on their car. Alexander Arthur in the meanwhile trying to catch up to KP now. Right behind them we have Dubrovka battling with Akim Ali Boran Shensoi, who is today not commentating but racing with a beautiful Gulf liveried vehicle. Not classically Gulf liveried, but nice color scheme nonetheless. With Tatsuyama entering the pits, followed by the BMW of Jin Rant. Alexander Arthur going for an overtake there. Oh, but outbraking themselves. Heavily outbraking themselves. This is good for Seung KP, our South Korean driver, who's looking to take home some points for EAB TOSFED Racing. Oh, and it seems like there are a bit of netcode issues with you right now. Oh, and it's causing mayhem. The netcode issues are causing mayhem. This is not good. Further back, we have Alexander Arthur. Still trying to catch up to KP. You is still... This is not good. This persists. This could become troublesome. Natalie Lee currently in P4, but having to avoid whatever is going on right in front of them. That is surely... This netcode issue is surely going to be taken up by the administration team after the race. Further else on the track, we have Alexander Arthur getting a bit unsettled there. Oh, might be having to taken the curb on the inside rather aggressively for P or turn 3. Yes. Correct. Adrian Dubrovka trying to take on AG Radium. We're getting a bit unsettled there into the chicane. We've got a bunch of front runners pitting. We have Mark Kame in the pits. We have Natalie Lee in the pits. And we have Midnight Hurricane coming into the pits. It seems like people are starting to clear their mandatory pit stops. Victor Massato still trying to get up the ranks after having had that troublesome situation in the first few laps. Alexander Arthur getting a few positions on merit right now from the people in the pits. Damien Prestupa right behind Alexander Arthur. It looks like Agent Dubrovka is battling there. Oh, almost coming together between Radium and Dubrovka. Porsche and the BMW now having to get out of the way because there's a front runner there, but they cannot. Oh, they cannot hinder their own race because of a front runner. There's a bit of action going on right here now. Chamchula now entering the pits. Natalie Lee following Jordan Brunch and Damien Prestupa. Jordan Brunch is a lap down or two. Should be getting out of the way, but Prestupa is crashing out and Jordan Brunch turns around as well. Midnight Hurricane in the meanwhile trying to catch up to Leon JHK. Yuma versus TDU Solar Club. There we go. Solar Crown is the game that is coming, isn't it? Now we have Mark Kame up into the front running positions. But surprise, surprise. After the pit stops, who is in provisional P1? It's Albert Schurz, our hometown hero. The local boy, the Hungarian, is in the lead after the pit stops. It seems like they have done everything necessary to get the perfect strategy. That is a new word. I just made up completely on the spot. Strategy. Don't know what use it would be. However, George managed to execute the strategy quite exemplary, I dare say. Right behind them is Mark Kame and Le Casillas. What? How did George do that? They saved like 10-15 seconds in the pit stops. And the time leading up to that. That was well done by Albert George for VM Interplanetary. Challenging for the win today, it seems. But oh, there's someone coming into the pits. Must be Blanc. What was the name? Sorry. Blanc Ryuzaki was that exactly. But now we have Le Casillas and Mark Kame in the background fighting. Le Casillas trying, and Le Casillas going for provisional P2. This battling between the two, Mark Kame and Le Casillas, could help. Definitely helps Albert George. On his own planet right now. This is Truly some interplanetary racing. But Le Casellas is not letting go of that potential win around. They have a bit of a better front, it seems. Maybe some light aero damage in the front, which will not help their case to go for the win today. However, they now have to catch up to Albert Gersh, who is slowly but steadily getting away. There seems to be a UMA racing car getting out of the way there. Oh, getting a bit into the way of Le Casellas, however. This is all helping Albert Gersh. It seems like the stars are aligning for VM Interplanetary today. However, Le Casellas still having to defend now from Mark Kame. Mark Kame with the best lap of the race today with a 1:44.357 in the race. Forcing Le Casellas into a defensive line. Ooh, almost crashing into the back there of the BMW driver. And this all helps Rubia Costa to catch up to them. So this has now become a three-way battle for P2 while Albert Gersh is running away. Reining are now clearing the mandatory pit stop. Coming out a bit behind the lead. Then coming out a bit behind Alexander Arthur, it seems, who still hasn't, is one of the few who hasn't done the mandatory pit stops yet. But we have a three-way battle here. And there's Jinran now, who has to get out of the way of these three drivers. Rubia Costa getting the worst of it! And that is Rubia Costa taken out for the second time today! If it... I don't want to say it, but if it wasn't over until now, I think that has been it for Rubia Costa for today. This is not going to challenge for the win anymore. And there's a yellow flag for Alexander Arthur. That was in the chicane, it seems. Mark Kame, however, trying to get provisional P2 back from Le Casellas. Gary Slater now in the pits. Poofy Pillow currently still leading the lap. Leading the race. I think these are the first few leading kilometers that Poofy Pillow has been doing in the IVGTC. Congrats on that, but sooner or later you have to pit. Don't forget it. There's still 17 minutes until the pit window closes. Now Mark Kame. What can Mark Kame do? Well, there's this one thing that they both cannot do at the moment, which seems to be catching up to Albert Gersh. But Mark Kame wanting to go for that provisional P2. Or can they hold back? Oh, going a bit straight there over the sausage curb. Can Mark Kame hold back, keep a head down, and try to let Le Casellas catch up to Albert Gersh? Maybe to let them fight for the win again. This is now mind games. We are now in the special part of the race where you have to play those mind games. And it seems like Mark Kame wants to go for an overtake amongst the backmarker confusion. Doesn't quite work out though. Mark Kame seemingly getting the worst of it, but Le Casellas now stuck behind a backmarker. That is Night Fury. Night Fury, oh, not really getting out of the way for Le Casellas there. The two scratching a bit. It seems like Le Casellas is slowly but steadily catching up to Albert Gersh now. Making up half a second in the last half lap. Leon JHK, one of the last few to clear the mandatory pit stop now. Further back we have Chamchulo fighting with Shen Soy and Shike Hawken. Oh, Chamchulo getting a good run there, trying to go for the overtake. At the inside line, managing to, oh, not quite make it stick. Because now Shensoy has the inside line for the next corner. And the Turkish driver will not want to let go of any position. And they do not, it seems. Victor Masato in the meanwhile attacking Mentrix. Getting a good run out of this corner into the second to last corner now, having done the overtake. Victor Masato. What has happened today? Fortunately, a crash early on in the race meant the end of anything that could happen, it seems. Shensoy battling with Chamchulo in the meanwhile. Our toss-fed EAB racing driver does not want to give up positions, but gets a bit wide, trying to aggressively catch up to Chamchulo. Chamchulo now right on the rear of Shike Hawken. Seems like a battle of the Porsches for P20. There's a yellow flag for Blue Eyes getting unsettled in the chicane. Midnight Hurricane in the meanwhile trying to catch up to Gary Slater for P12. Quite safely in the point scoring positions, Midnight Hurricane. However, it never hurts to take a bit of 4 points home. What has happened at the front there? Where did Reska Kyoso come from? And where did the drive-through come from for Night Fury? Suddenly Reska Kyoso is ahead of Le Casillas and Mark Kane. All of the... could this have been an over-aggressive move by Mark Kane trying to overtake Le Casillas? We will see after the race is done, but it doesn't look like... it looks good for Albert George now, being 4.5 seconds ahead of the next competitor. Just 18 minutes, just a bit over 18 minutes left to go in this race. Night Fury with the drive-through right now. Where they will come out. Poofy Pillow now going for the mandatory pit stop. I believe this is the last person to go for the mandatory pit stop in the whole grid, so everything is shaping up as it should be now. Mandatory pit stops are getting done. Albert George is in the lead quite comfortably by just under 5 seconds. Mark Kane, all but close to a competitor. Trying to follow Le Casillas still, but it doesn't look like they currently have the speed, the pace to catch up to our reigning champion. Poofy Pillow now getting out of the pits, coming up ahead of Chamchulo, who is a lap down. Poofy Pillow now in P11 behind Merkur VR and Reininger. Just above 15 minutes left in this race. Let us take a look at the current standings. We have Albert George leading the way in front of Reska Kyoso, Le Casillas, Mark Kane, Ruby Acosta, who had a very unfortunate race today, getting taken out 2 times, or at least being involved in crashes 2 times. Akito Asakawa in 6th. How you, the leader of our current leader of our Yuma drivers. Natalie Lee in P8. Moritz Reininger within vision of Natalie Lee in P9. Marco VR right behind them in P10. Poofy Pillow in 11. Midnight Hurricane in P12. And, unfortunate, what has happened? Moritz Reininger has gotten a drive-through penalty and someone's off there. Someone is yellow flag there. That is Mashiro. The Reininger. Ooh! Overtaking on the entry into the pits. The overtaking. That was Trazione Integrale, I believe. On the entry to the pits. Wow, that was a move. But of course, they cannot lose any time right now with this drive-through. That must have been for track limits, because it was at the usual spots. Basically, there are some spots around Hungaroring. When you get off track there, you get a track limit warning. We just go a bit wide there, which is, well, whatever. And there's Chamchulo almost not having the awareness to see Reininger on the inside. Reininger now in P11 behind Poofy Pillow. Right, we have Merco VR in P9, Poofy Pillow in P10, Moritz Reininger in P11, Midnight Hurricane right behind Reininger in P12, Gary Slater in P13, Damien Super in P14, Alexander Arthur in 15, Sean KP in 16, Felix Night Fury in 17, Jin Rand in 18, Adrian Dubrovka in 19, and Chamcholo in the last spot of the top 20. There seems to be a yellow flag for Adrian Dubrovka or Jin Rand. Well, someone had a yellow flag just there, believe me. And Nicoseas has been overtaken by Mark Kame, it seems. Mark Kame now finally picking up the pace again, managing to overtake the strongest competitor. Well, I say strongest competitor, but then there's Reska Kyoso and Albert Jersh still ahead. And it seems like Ruby Acosta is not done yet, trying to catch up to those two, the pair of Lecaseas and Ruby Acosta. And Mark Kame. Ruby Acosta trying to catch up to herself. That will be. And Albert Jersh has a yellow flag! What is happening? No! Reska Kyoso has inherited the lead. Let us go back in time. Let's see what happened there. Getting unsettled over the curbs. It was completely on their own. Albert Jersh throwing away what was such a good race. Now in second position, right ahead of Ruby Acosta. Managed to overtake Lecaseas and Mark Kame. Seems to have been a problem with Mark Kame as well in all of this. As this is a three-way battle now for P2 between Albert Jersh, Ruby Acosta and Lecaseas. But Reska Kyoso inheriting the lead due to a blunder from Albert Jersh. I gotta be honest with you guys. I was rooting for VM Interplanetary today. I know I should be impartial somewhat, but damn. Would have been so nice to see Albert Jersh, who again crashes out, take home a good position on his home track. Now losing positions, rejoining rather dangerously and slotting back in P6. Further behind we have Shike Hawken battling it out with Leon JHK and being followed by Victor Masato, the other VM Interplanetary driver. Seems like Victor Massato's racing team has a bit of difficulties today on what is their half home track. Now Jin Rand having some troubles. And there's a crash for Adrian Dubrovka as well. Taking out someone else there. That seemed to be Midnight Hurricane taken out. And very damaged in the front now. Guys, and now it's starting, it's almost the end of the race, but that doesn't mean you can drive recklessly now. Victor Massato using all of that confusion to overtake Shike Hawken. Up into P20 and losing it on the exit of the chicane. Cars the 14th, taking up the position then. And now closely following Shike Hawken, who themselves are following JHK. And Dubrovka crashing out again. And there's a battle between Tars the 14th, Shike Hawken and Leon JHK. Shike Hawken still in the middle, but having the better run there out of one of the last corners. Into the second to last corner, Tars the 14th looking to have a good line there. But now the inside line for Shike Hawken. Alex Arthur is pitting. Albert Jersch is pitting. Jen Rant is pitting. Mark Kame is pitting. Here for our top runners who would have had the opportunity to get some really great positions today. Unfortunately, it was not their day today. Albert Church exiting the pits now. See where they come out. This is Mentrix. Albert Church coming out in P12 at 11 because Mark Kame is still in the pits. Marco VR now catching up to Natalie Lee. Ruby Acosta catching up to Le Casillas. Past the 14th, still hot on the heels of Shike Hawken. And Victor Masato trying to get back past Ekim Ali Boran Shensoy. These are the few battles that are currently raging. Past the 14th in the Ferrari, Speed Daddy Tune Shop. Not having the best line through these last corners. It's gaining a bit of ground on Shike Hawken right there. Mark Kame is still in the pits. Has Mark Kame given up? Or is it damage just too much? Or is it emotional damage that cannot be repaired in the pits? Ruby Acosta is battling Le Casillas. Wants to make it a 1-2-4. Who wants a Soder X Queen's Design Racing team? Top 3 are BMW M4s, I just came to realize. Ugh. Ruby Acosta hot on the heels of Le Casillas. Overtaking opportunities are very hard to come by on this track. You really pretty much need to be on a different level than the other person, or the other person needs to make a mistake in order for you to challenge for an overtake. But the level between Le Casellas and Rubia Costa is not that different. There are back markers now. Back marker confusion. And it helps Rubia Costa gain P2 potentially on the inside line, almost touching with Le Casellas. There's Albert Gersh taking out Rubia Costa. "68 incidents have been recorded so far this race. 68. That is exactly 2 incidents per driver that started the race.
Pit window is now closed.
Pit window is closed. Everyone has done the mandatory pit stop. Mark Kame is now back on track. Adrian Dubrovka with a stop go 30. There are still a few battles raging on for the last few changes in position potentially. You being now in P4, having taken that from Rubia Costa in the, let me put it bluntly, in the blunder from Albert Gersh. You now having to defend from Rubia Costa. We have about 3 more laps to go, it seems. You taking a bit of a wide line, they're losing a bit of the braking point, losing a bit of their edge against Acosta. As they come up to back marker of Ryuma Tateyama, managed to negotiate them rather smoothly. With Chamchulo catching up to Seong KP right ahead of them. This is for P14. Chamchulo trying to go for the inside line, however not side by side enough to actually make the move work. We've got a bunch of battles for position right now. Chika Hawken now behind Tulsa 14. Tulsa 14 seems having gotten by, and Ekimali Boran Shensoi losing it, or getting lost, getting it lost by someone else. We don't know. After the race is over, when the stewards' decisions are coming in. Merco VR now right behind Natalie Lee. The most closest battle up front. It seems like Leon JHK is going into the pits. This lets Tulsa 14 inherit P16. And Cholo still on the back of Seong KP. And Mentrix overtaking Ekim Aliboran Shensoi now, who has front end damage, it seems. Kamcholo also getting really close to Seong KP. Behind them, that's Gary Slater, who is a lap ahead of them. Coming up. And KP gets out of the way. Willingly or unwillingly, I don't know. But Chamchulo takes that position. And Leon JHK first getting into the pits and now getting a stop-go 30. With our pad, we have Ruby Acosta still on the wheels. Well, how are you? Akito Asasagawa challenging Leica Seyas for the top 2 spots. Behind Jin Rand, they gathered really closely right now. Akito Asasagawa looking to make a move maybe now in the last lap. Because now Raska Kyoso has started the final lap and Mirko VR has crashed out. Let's see if we can see anything on the replay. Just getting loose a bit while trying to avoid what seems like a back marker. Not losing a position in the whole process. However, Akito Asasagawa is right on the tails of Leica Seyas. Could Koneko Racing go for P2 this time around? Leica Seyas is surely not gonna let it up easy. Our reigning well, it is an international championship, so I can say world championship. However, there was a crash! That was Akito Asasagawa crashing out Leica Seyas, letting him past again, however. Then ran right behind them. Let's see this last few corners with Reska Kyoso, because, well, it seems like Kyoso had the cleanest race today. Who Wants a Soda is on P1 with Queen's Design.
The leader has finished the race.
Reska Kyoso finishes the race in P1. Leica Seyas seems to defend P2. Akito Asasagawa not being able to take advantage of the closeness of the last few corners. But how are you managing to take home P4 in front of Ruby Acosta? Natalie Lee relatively unchallenged for P6. Mirko VR in P7. Poofy Pillow in P8. Oh, Mirko VR getting a bit unsettled there again. However, still unchallenged. Poofy Pillow in P8. Moritz Reininger in P9. Harry Slater in P10. Albert George in P11. Damien Przystupa in P12. Felix Knife-Fury in P13. Champ Chulo seems to take home P14 in front of Seong KP. Victor Masato in 16. Alistair 14th and 17. Kay Hawken in 18. Alexander Arthur 19. Midnight Hurricane runs up to top 20. Ikemali Boran Shenso in 21. Isa Ambra in 22. iMentrix VT in 23. Mark came in 24. Mark came in 24. AG Radium in 25. Leon JHK in 26. Blue Eyes in 27. Jin Rant in 28. Blanc Ryuzaki in 29. Mashiro in 30. Dubrovka in 31. Tateyama in 32. Integrale in 33. And Jordan Brunch in 34. Well, that was a race. Let's take a look at the count of the Incidents. We are at 77 incidents that need to be looked at for this round. That will be fun. Bit of winning donuts, burnouts for Reska Kyoso here. Partying with Akito Asasagawa next to them. Two of our top 3 finishers. And this was round 2 of the IVGTC Season 6 with our winner, Reska Kyoso. I have been Julian. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.